My dear friends, let me assure you that Ina and I are delighted to be with you in worship this morning. This isn't my first visit to Nepean Baptist, although it's my first visit to this lovely sanctuary. When I was here quite a number of years ago, we met together, as you are aware, out here. And I was thrilled to be shown around by Chuck. And what a transformation you have made to this building. It's so different from the original, and yet, of course, some of the original building remains, and that brought back memories to this Irishman. Chuck very kindly mentioned Dungannon in County Tyrone, and that was our first responsibility and our first church. And we went there just after World War II. It was a small congregation then, but God gave us great blessing in those 8 years. And then we moved on to Port Stewart. Now, Port Stewart isn't quite as well known as Port Rush, which is next door. And the Giant's Causeway, maybe somebody here this morning has been there. There are many tours to the causeway. But we were there for only 2 years and then came to Canada. And our first church was in the village of Lanark, where we spent 5 happy years. And then moved on. We were 8 years in Winchester, 5 in Petrolia near Sarnia. And it was at that time that we became interested in the work, or the suggested work, as it was then, in Kanata. I had an amazing experience as far as the call to Kanata was concerned. And I won't go into detail here because it's in the book. And you can pick up a book. I brought in 4 which are on the table out there, but I have quite a number in the trunk of the car. And if a lot of you are picking up the book this morning, that's fine. And you'll discover how we began at the Stephen Leacock School in 1975. And we went on there to 1984 when I stepped out. Now, we began from nothing. Absolutely nothing. But Ina and I, we were certain, because we felt so strongly the call to go to Canada, we were certain that the work would grow, and so it did. So much so that when Doug Ward came along to follow us, he came in 1984 and is still 25 years later the pastor there. Well, one of the pastors there, because there are now 3 pastors. And that building, I know this morning, will be packed. So God has done wonderful things for us, whereof we are glad. The verse that we kept in mind from the Psalms in those first 8 years, the verse that was always in my mind and in our hearts was, Except the Lord build the house, they labor in vain who build it. But God built that house. When we bought the property for a very modest sum, I was astounded when Doug Ward told me a little while ago. He said, George, that site is now worth about $2 million. So we rejoice as we look back in all that the Lord has done for us. As far as your work here is concerned, may God prosper your cause here. I knew your original pastor very well. We met together with others at the Evangelical Ministerium, which met at that time at the Metropolitan Church, which was then on Bank Street. And Sam Burke and I were good friends. And that accounts for the fact that I had one or two earlier visits here when Sam was on holiday. Now enough about that, although later, if you want to ask questions when we're having tea and coffee, that will be fine, and we'll try to answer those questions. Now, I needn't say if you have your Bible with you, because I'm delighted this morning to see so many with a Bible, carrying a Bible, something that my wife has always done for many, many years. And when we go to Canada Baptist each Sunday morning, Ina has her Bible. And you have also this morning. And we're turning to Luke 23. And we'll read from verse 32. And there were also 2 other malefactors led with Jesus to be put to death. And when they came to the place that is called Calvary, there he was crucified. And the malefactors, one on the right hand and the other on the left. Then Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And they parted his raiment, and they cast lots. And the people stood beholding, and the rulers also with them derided him, saying, He saved others, let him save himself, if he be Christ, the chosen of God. And the soldiers also mocked him, coming to him, offering him vinegar, and saying, If thou be the King of the Jews, save thyself. And a superscription also was written over him in letters of Greek, Latin, and Hebrew, This is the King of the Jews. And one of the malefactors that were hanged railed on him, saying, If thou be Christ, save thyself and us. But the other answering, he rebuked him, saying, Dost thou not fear God, seeing that you are in the same condemnation? And we indeed justly, for we receive the due reward of our deeds. But this man, he has done nothing amiss.